Jishnu, we've talked about some of the opportunities here, and you said that a large chunk of what you are going to be allocating is going to be on tech-focused, AI-focused companies. From an India perspective, and you've been investing in Indian companies for a good part of the last 2 decades. What's looking exciting, and what's the role that Indian companies can play in this context?
Absolutely, Shereen. So the way broadly we look at, right, the technology, as the technology inflection points come, we see emergence of technology stacks. We have seen it in the internet times. We have seen it as kind of like, the world was moving away from on-premise to cloud. And now we are seeing what we call the AI stack. So we can think of, there is infrastructure where there are a lot of considerations starting from hardware on where all these kind of massive AI data would reside, training will happen, and AI models will be created. On top, what we are saying is that AI models are getting created. All the things that we hear, whether it is GPT-4 or H2O GPT, are being created there. There is a third layer, which is you can think of as tools and operations, because you might have the model, but you would also need several tooling to be able to make use of the model. And the fourth layer is applications, which is targeted towards specific functions or specific vertical industries. If we look at in general, obviously in India we have opportunities across all the stacks, and we are seeing as talented entrepreneurs are there everywhere. They are hugely there in India, and we are seeing opportunities everywhere. What I would say specifically, young kind of like college graduates who are coming into the workforce in India are specifically good at is making use of things which are there globally and coming up with use cases. So we would expect that a lot of kind of innovations out of India you will see in the application layer. There is tons of open source work as being powered by companies like H2O. There are a lot of tooling which is getting available. Cloud companies and hyperscalers, as they are known, are making things available. We are seeing entrepreneurs in India are using this kind of tools at a massive pace and are coming up with use cases which were not possible before, ranging from all kinds of industries. In fact, the latest stat, what I heard is that for all the AI users combined, I think India is by far the largest. Like there are times when, when ChatGPT first came in, the thing was that towards the end of the day, like towards evening and all, it will get always kind of like out of sync or out of line, or people will not be able to log in. And it turns out that at that time, people from India have been online, and it was becoming very difficult for the companies to offer resources. So the point is, we are a very grassroots level, truly entrepreneurial ecosystem where given opportunities or given, let's say, tooling and possibilities, people are picking up at a rapid pace. I mean, what I was saying that, 5 companies a day doing things around AI, it was not an exaggeration. So that's what is happening. Like anything, I would also say, taking the other side, now there is this thing that, AI will be needed to do almost everything. It also says, so talking about it, right, Sri was mentioning about this thing called large language models. By definition, these are probabilistic approach, which means that you will only get directional answers. Now, many efforts are also going on to say that, okay, the whole interface will change and that will let us to do a lot of work. But the fact of the matter is many work that we do are deterministic. If we are asking a database to say, what data is out there, just to get a simple question, which is not a probabilistic answer, but a black or white answer, LLM has not been built for that. So I think though there is a lot of thing that has to come out where, the other axis you can say that, how fluidly and how kind of like, conveniently you want to get something done versus how accurately you want to get something done.
And that's where the vector databases and the search meets generative AI. You see a lot of that fusion. So actually, when you talk about federated machine learning here, Vaik brought up a very interesting topic of there's a billion cell phones that go to bed every night, right? Billions. And so if you can use the power of the federated distributed architecture to kind of break down the problem of large language models into lots of small models, Now you have started building the GPT that's learning you as a person and is so personalized and contextualized that you can actually use it as a power tool, right? But at the same time, between the distributed world to context sensitive, to then bringing search, internalized search for companies. Historically, search was only a Google affair. Now everybody can build search. And LLMs and GPT were kind of the purview of the tech giants. With open source, every organization can bring it together. And we did H2O World in India, in our first one in India. We have done many here. But we were so excited. We open sourced H2O GPT live on stage. And then we did a meetup the next day. We had 600 people on a Saturday afternoon, very passionately, curiously learning how to use it, how to play with it, how to tinker with it. The amount of talent pool that that's out there. I mean, India is probably the largest data scientist population in the world right now. And it used to have the largest number of engineers. So bring the greatest engineers and data scientists and data people. And India is one of the most highly digital economy right now. And a population of 1 billion people are producing data every day. And so we're producing more data in India than probably the rest of the world, barring China. That means now you have the fuel for all the most perfect conditions, ripe conditions for great innovations to happen. And we're super excited for what can happen.
Well, you know, growing up, you thought of superpowers as wanting to fly or be invisible. Now, GPT is the superpower that can drive you. But you know, I want to understand from you, and this is in the context of this new species as well that you spoke of, Sri. You know, you've been around, as I said, since 2011 is when you founded the company. 2021 is when you turned unicorn. We're living in an era where companies that are founded 6 months ago, a year ago, turn unicorn, and in a few years they're decacons. What is your message to founders who are looking at valuations? What's your message to investors as well?
I think the fundamental theme, and it's interesting we're here at Nexus, it always believed in values or valuation, right? I mean, what is fundamentally a founder trying to do? He's trying to bring change that he wants to see in the world. We wanted AI to be as ubiquitous as water. So we picked H2O.ai, right? And so it has become ubiquitous. That vision, we persevered through thick and thin when people didn't realize that this was the most important theme. You saw the rise of crypto and then it vanished. You saw the rise of big data and it vanished. But math was actually what was needed. Anytime we complain about data, math came to our rescue, whether as an abacus or a Turing test or today as AI. So we're really democratizing intelligence, democratizing opportunity. And what, investors as well as future makers and entrepreneurs who are watching this need to know is that courage is still a scarce resource, right? And having surrounding yourself with people who are able to follow you through the thick and thin from idea. And literally, we were started on a PowerPoint here in Nexus, right? So from idea to where you can see the entire world singing the same song. I think that's the kind of philosophy that India actually is rich in. While we are not India-formed company, we built a lot of those cultural aspects in. Many of the co-creators, we call them makers inside the company, they are still with us for through the 10-year journey. Despite AI being so white-hot, they're all here fully experiencing the journey, right? And then bringing a change and inspiring other companies to build even bigger companies on top of H2O. The other piece I would like to add is open source comes very natural to us. As a culture, India thrives on openness. It actually shares recipes and improves their recipes. That's how we built the culture of all our cuisines, all our culture. Historically, right? So as a culture, I mean, some of the best food, Indian food is now found in London, right? So we even kind of colonized the colonizer, if you will, back then, right? So, and Indian culture is vibrant. And that kind of vibrancy is what AI can now amplify. We're building not to GPT, for example, for India, where you want to go to the tribes and the local cultures that are far likely to become extinct and capture their languages, capture their cultures, their traditions. And that's not just India, even First Nation in Australia, First Nation people. I think capturing things, or AI is essentially collecting the historical kind of importance of things and then making intelligence available for everyone. So democratizing intelligence means we are manufacturing intelligence.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? So the challenge of what we are, what makes us human, becomes more stronger, having empathy for our people, others, and ability to kind of encourage and together how we can create a future that all of us can share. I think that's the vision that we can absolutely do now.
Well, you know, that's the AI vision that I would totally come on board for, and I would join that bus and that party any time.